Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, and today's video will be doing a review on The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, so let's get into it. Now, when it comes to the 3DS, I had this system growing up, but it was never really a system that I had a ton of games for. I remember getting Super Smash Bros. On the system, and I wasn't a big fan of the controls, and for whatever reason, that really turned me off to the system, and I never really built out my collection. And I know that I missed out on a lot of great games, and The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds was definitely one of them. For whatever reason, I thought it looked a little weird. I saw the 2D sprites where Link would basically go between being 2D and 3D, and I thought it looked a little bit different, and I wasn't sure how it would play out, so I ended up not playing this game. But I finally got a chance to revisit it all these years later, and thankfully I did. And so The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds is a top-down action-adventure game set in the Zelda universe that takes place many years after the events of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. This was one of my favorite titles growing up from the Super Nintendo, and so you'll play as a new hero several generations later on another quest to save Princess Zelda. And so at the start of the story, Zelda is kidnapped by an evil sorceress Yuga that ends up trying to revive Ganon and sets up a rift between two different worlds of Hyrule and Lorule. And so Hyrule is really a flourishing world, but then Lorule is almost the polar opposite, where everything is in decay and chaos. And you'll need to rescue the 7 sages, protecting the Triforce of Courage, scattered throughout Lorule in various different temples, in hopes of rescuing Princess Zelda, stopping Ganon, and saving the world. And so I really like that this game takes place in the timeline after A Link to the Past. It's really cool getting to revisit many of these key locations, and the map layout is very similar, if not almost identical, to A Link to the Past. Certainly there's a lot more going on in different areas to explore, but it definitely still has that base map framework from A Link to the Past, which I really thought was cool. It also brings back a lot of the music from A Link to the Past as you're exploring Hyrule, so I really enjoyed that as well. And it also has a lot of the same items from A Link to the Past as well. Now, one thing that's pretty neat with this game is that it has almost an open world feel to it, where when you start off, you'll need to collect the 3 different pendants, which will eventually allow you to go into Lorule. And so that kind of mirrors the events of Link to the Past. And then you'll try and rescue the 7 sages, which really had an Ocarina of Time feel to it, which I really liked as well. But again, it does have that open world feel, because once you have the ability to go between Lorule and Hyrule, you can really take on and free the different 7 sages in any order that you want to. And so you'll have an item shop that you can go to throughout the game, and you can either buy items or rent them. And so you'll be able to have access to basically all of the key items that you would normally find throughout your questing in The Legend of Zelda right off the bat. And so if you rent them, you have them temporarily until you die, and then you'll have to return them. But eventually you'll have the feature where you can buy them outright, and they'll become permanent spots within your inventory. And so this is really neat because you can acquire all the best gear right away, and then again, choose where you want to go throughout the world, rescuing various sages throughout the different temples. So you can get the hook shot, a hammer, boomerang, bow and arrow, fire rod, ice rod, lantern, and much more. And so in similar fashion to past Legend of Zelda titles, you'll be able to explore these dungeons, and they kind of have a central theme to them where you'll need to use a specific weapon or item to clear the various puzzles hidden throughout this dungeon. And so there's a big variety of these. For example, there's a sand temple where you'll be able to raise pillars of sand and use that to your advantage to move across the stage and to reach different heights. But another really cool element is the aspect of turning 2D or 3D. And so early in the game, Yuga transforms you into a painting, but thankfully you've got a magic bracelet that allows you to escape this 2D world, and then you have the power to go between 2D and 3D through the rest of the game. And again, initially when I first saw this, I thought it looked a little stupid, but as I played the game, I really started to enjoy it a lot. It was a lot of fun to position yourself on the wall and kind of walk around in a 2D fashion, and it allowed you to cross vast caverns, dodge enemy attacks, and slip between cracks within the wall. It also shifted the perspective from 3D to 2D, so a lot of times you'd be exploring a dungeon and you need to position yourself on the wall to see things a little bit differently to help you solve different puzzles. So I really like that aspect, and it was really cool as well because when you would go from the 3D world into the 2D, the sound actually went from like 3D stereo sound into more of a 2D mono sound, and it was just a little touch that I thought was really cool when you went back and forth between the 2D and 3D elements. Another thing that I liked with this is that you still use the main controls of the controller buttons. I know there was a few games in the Legend of Zelda series on the DS where you needed to use a stylus. I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of that, so getting to come back and have a normal standard control and the kind of parallel thing that was happening in this game this time around was that 2D to 3D element, which again makes sense with it being the 3DS. But it played like a classic traditional Legend of Zelda title. And so the controls are really responsive, and it played like a modern Legend of Zelda title. I was also impressed at how long this game was, as you did have these 7 different dungeons for each one of the sages, plus the 3 initial dungeons to get the pendants. And so overall, it felt a lot longer than I expected it to, given that it was a portable Legend of Zelda title. There's also a lot of different secrets to find. For example, there's these little shelled creatures that you need to find scattered throughout different areas in the game, and they're always stuck to different walls or hidden under bushes or rocks and different things like that. And another thing that I thought was fun with this is that when they're stuck to the wall, you'll often have to go into 2D form and then go behind them and then pop out into 3D to knock them off the wall. This was a cool mechanic that was used there, but also in dungeons and different puzzles at times, where there might be a ladder or a walkway stuck up against the wall, and you need to go 2D behind it and then pop out to knock it down to create a bridge for yourself or a ladder, different things like that. And so that was a really cool element that I enjoyed throughout exploring the world. Again, similar to other classic Legend of Zelda titles, you'll have different heart pieces scattered around the world. Some of them are easy to find, but others are more challenging, and you'll need to work out the different puzzles utilizing your different items, going between 2D and 3D, and much more. I thought a lot of the dungeons were really creative as well, especially with the different themes. I mentioned the temple surrounding the sand rod before, but there's other ones, for example, where you'll need to use the tornado rod to propel yourself into the air, to put out different fires with wind, and to utilize different fans to blow yourself across the level. And so I thought that was cool. There's also dungeons focused around bombs and using the hammer, the hook shot, and much more. And so I did appreciate that different variety. And I did like the overall mechanic of going between 2D and 3D. I think most Legend of Zelda titles, at least early on, kind of have those different polar opposites. In this case, you had low rule and high rule, 2D and 3D. Others have been going to the past and the future, changing the seasons, being large and tiny, all kinds of different things like that. And I did really enjoy this 2D to 3D aspect that you would shift between throughout this game. You also had the different options of upgrading your Master Sword, acquiring it to begin with, but then also finding different materials that you could permanently boost its strengths and abilities. And so that was fun to find those hidden throughout the game. I think the game also has a neat feature of using the map on one of the screens for the 3DS. And so this was really convenient, and I liked this. Where again, in past classic 2D Zelda titles, you'd have to go into a pause menu to see the map, but this time it was just there all the time, and so that was really convenient. There's even some dungeons where that was extremely helpful. Once you'd get the compass, it would let you know where different treasures were specifically in the room, and so sometimes that would help you unravel the different puzzles and various secrets that might be hidden throughout that dungeon. I will say I don't necessarily think the game was too challenging. I think for my first playthrough I died 6 times overall, so not really a whole lot. And it was really only the final boss where I died most of those deaths throughout the entire game. Now when you do beat it, you unlock a hero mode, which is a little bit more difficult and has more challenging enemies. So I think if you're a Legend of Zelda veteran, you'll probably enjoy that version a bit more, giving you that extra level of challenge that the base game doesn't necessarily have. But overall, I was incredibly impressed with this game. I'm a little disappointed that I didn't play it sooner. It definitely ranks up there as one of my favorites in the whole series, and I can't believe I waited this long to play it, only to discover that it was really good. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you played A Link Between Worlds yet? Is this one of your favorites? Do you like the element of going between 2D and 3D? How do you think it stacks up compared to the other titles in the series? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button as it really helps out the channel. And another really cool way you can help support the channel is we actually partnered with a company, Geek Crate, that puts together various bundles. So whether you like things like Harry Potter, Pokemon, Naruto, Marvel, and more, they've got different bundles for everything. They have a subscription service you can take advantage of, or buy just one-time bundle packs of various items. And so if you did want to check that out and help support the channel, head to nerdproblemsgaming.com/geekcrate, and you'll actually get 15% off your order and help support our channel at the same time. So if you want to take advantage of that cool discount, be sure to head there as well. And if you like videos like this on video games, board games, and everything nerdy, check out one of our other videos here. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.